We're Susanna and Luke, Sulu for short. We love everything camping, hiking, and outdoors. We ambitiously challenged ourselves to build our own truck cap for our adventures, so we turned this F-150 open cap into a hardshell topper. We have little to no fabrication experience, but that didn't stop us. We learned everything along the way. We poured our blood, sweat, and tears into it and can't wait to show you the journey. We have future plans to add a rooftop tent, so stick around to see if we can do it.
Okay, so we're done welding up the space frame, as we like to call it. I'd like to test it to make sure it's structural, make sure it's good. By testing it, I'm going to jump on it. Next steps are drilling some holes for the rivets, painting it up, getting those panels on, and making it look a lot more like a truck cap. So stay tuned for that.
Here's our mini mock-up of how we're going to attach the panels to the space frame. We bought alu panel, which is a thin material made of aluminum composite. We'll be drilling holes into the frame and then into the paneling and hand riveting them all together. It was a workout. Hot tip, get yourself an electric rivet gun to save yourself hours. And now the real deal. We bought this paneling at a local sign shop and cut it to size for what we needed to make the cap. And just a little disclaimer, we are not fabricators, we're just showing you what we did, and we may or may not recommend this process. We borrowed this table saw to get this done, but later found out that using a router would be way better and give you a smoother edge. We didn't want to risk any gaps, so we measured up against the frame for every single cut. We were reassured by the sign distributor that this type of paneling is meant for outdoor signs, so it won't warp, crack, or anything in the elements. Once again, maybe don't follow our advice on this one. We used a circular saw to shave off millimeters, and it worked, but it was a little dodgy. Once we had all of our panels cut, we had to measure out where we wanted the hinges. And again, we measured about 100 times because our brains just were not figuring this out. We ended up with 4 hinges on each side and 3 on the back panel. Once we were confident with where we wanted to put these hinges, we got to work on drilling these holes. And nobody told us how difficult this part would be. Let's just say you have to drill a lot of holes into this steel beam, so get ready to just hate your life. And the drilling does not stop there. Next, you have to do the holes for where the truck clamps will hold the frame onto the truck, and then the holes for where the gas pistons have to then pop open the panels. Can someone please tell us in the comments below if there's a proper calculation for how to figure out the height and distance of where a gas piston should sit in order to get a certain angle for opening? Because we could not figure this out and we literally had to do trial and error. It's a miracle, but we did figure it out eventually. Just don't ask us how.
But once we know where we want the anchor point, the bottom point, I drilled a hole and then tacked on some of these nuts. Really tricky to tack because they just melt right away, so that's why it's pretty garbage. And then these can just screw all the way in, all the way through for your anchor point. You get the point of that. And then this point will attach onto the stiffeners on the panels, and then it should open and close.
I'm still in disbelief that Luke taught himself how to weld, and this entire frame has literally been made by him. Crazy. What are those for, Luke?
And my clamps.
Homemade
or dominoes.
clamps.
Homemade dominoes. Quarter inch thick steel. And then I'm just turning these guys into a homemade clamp, basically. We're going to put it onto the top track or part of the rail. Put a bolt through here. Put a bolt through here. I'm going to have to thread it so that I can secure it. But we'll show you when they're done what they look like.
All right, we're testing out Luke's homemade clamps and where to measure to drill these last holes for them. So we've got 3 for each side.
Yep.
And again, this is what they look like. The larger, taller side here goes onto the top, and the shorter bit goes underneath. So like that. One of the reasons we make these videos is for our own memories, and so we can look back at the process and how we got to the point where we're at. And let's just say we started to call Home Depot our second home because we had to do so many trips back and forth there throughout this project. I'm still having nightmares about the different types of bolts, M6, M8, 2 3/4 inch, Someone explain this. I still don't get it. But let's move on to priming and painting. This was very exciting because it started to look for real like our truck cap. We decided to go for a flat black color.
This should have been the easy part, and it's been the hardest part.
Did you almost want to quit today?
Yep.
We almost threw in the towel?
I was like, I'm gonna pay $15,000 to have, just buy one. I'm just gonna buy one. It's fine. I'm buying one. Fuck it.
Okay, priming is done. We ended up having to get a new sprayer. The one we had wasn't working great. We got a different one. It went really well. And now we're about to paint it black. We have discovered we are actually going to roll this part, not spray it, because a rust paint, which is meant for metals, does not actually spray very well because you can't thin it out. From our knowledge, I'm sure there is a way, but we can't be bothered to figure that part out. This part was pretty straightforward. We only had to do one coat. We just had to make sure we got into all of the cracks and seams and where we drilled in holes to make sure that rust wouldn't build up. And finally, the moment of truth. Luke had to double check to make sure that this frame was sturdy enough for him to do some twerking. We'll be eventually adding a rooftop tent to the top of this frame, which would become our bed platform, so we had to make sure it would hold both of our weight. I can confirm Luke can twerk on it without anything breaking, so that's a win. I'm not sure if you can tell, but this was one of those very long nights that we were probably a little delusional. Remember those hinges from before? It was time to mount them now that our painting was done. We thought drilling into the steel was hard. Try hand riveting. Again, another plug for you to get an electric rivet gun if you're doing this project, because you have to attach the hinges to the frame with it and these steel stiffener bars to each panel with little rivets. These stiffeners added rigidity and gave us a spot for us to mount our gas struts. All right, Luke has finished up the stiffeners on the three edges of each of the panels. We are leaving the bottom one until we actually get our locking latches, because we have to make sure they line up and measure and cut things appropriately. Day number 24 maybe?
Yeah, if we start on the 2nd, it's day 24.
Of our project. And we are losing steam and energy and motivation. It's a Friday night and we just want to sit and watch TV or do something fun, but we're hanging out with our project.
What even is fun?
It's pretty crazy that 24 days ago we were literally just measuring wood to even create the frame. We started in July of 2024 for this project, and even though it seemed really long, I think we got a lot done in a short period of time. Okay, enough chit chat. Let's get back to it and mount these panels. The front of the truck cap, which is up against the truck's back window, doesn't need to open and close, so we just riveted the panel directly to the frame. And then we used a polyurethane sealant to fill the little gap where the panel met the frame. It's latch time for our panels. These are from Amazon. They said the style of latch is called SoCal.
They're Southco latches.
Southco latches. I don't know if that's just the style, the brand, or whatever, but this is the Amazon knockoff version.
That's the brand. They're compression latches from Southco.
Thank you, Luke, with the straight facts.
That's me.
In case you're wondering why we keep saying don't take our advice and we're not professional fabricators, I would just like to show you how we are, cutting out the latches on our panels. This is a little wooden jig that Luke made with the shape of it. Duct tape onto the panel, and he's going to router it. So I don't know if any of the professionals would recommend it.
I don't see a problem here. I don't know what.
It has worked. It has worked.
Duct tape and wood, baby. Let's go. We leave tomorrow. It's full send mode. We just gotta get her done. Duct tape and wood. Nothing wrong. Well, there's a lot wrong with it.
Proof of concept. Latch into the panel. It's functioning.
it works.
We added these little contact points for the latches to actually hold onto when the panels were closed. We used JB Weld. I am not proud of it, but it did the job, and a whole year later, still there, no problems with it. I don't know if we mentioned it, but we were in a crunch to get this done. We were planning to leave for a big Montana road trip literally within a day. So once the panels were done, we screwed them onto the hinges and loaded this thing onto the back of the truck. This was a surreal moment because it actually looked like a real functioning cap, minus a roof. We added some foam weather stripping between the frame and the truck just to help keep the elements out. I don't know if it actually helped because honestly, on our first trip, we had water leak in.
We've been so busy with the grind that I haven't visualized the final end of it. I visualized us in the mountains and camping with it, but not the first time it's on the truck. This is crazy.
Last thing we needed to do before we could take off on our trip was build the roof. We used 80/20 aluminum extrusion and alu panels. We didn't mess around with using a table saw again. Luke used the router and it was so much easier. Thankfully, we can just slide in T-nuts and bolt this panel into the aluminum extrusion. We did not have to do the riveting again. That's it, you guys. We threw this roof on, and after 30-something days of really long hours and frustration and learning to weld and grind metal and live at Home Depot, we have a functioning truck cap. And I am so proud of us for doing a DIY version. Thank you to Ripcord HQ for their designs and for my wonderful husband for his resilience and a little bit of determination to actually get this done for us. If we wanted to purchase one of these, it would have cost us about maybe $5,000 to $6,000 just for the cap, not including a rooftop tent. If you want to see our first adventure with the new cap, go find the playlist that's called Montana and Wyoming with our new truck cap. And if you want to see us build out the rooftop tent, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and we'll upload those videos too. Thanks for watching Sulu Outdoors and we'll see you next time.